All right, so I've shown you how to modify a typeface in Photopea. I've shown you how to make your own custom type just using the polygonal lasso. And I might as well show you some of the other ways you can make your own custom type, right? Which don't always need to look so clean because sometimes you don't want that. It's just like we did the line art for our spot illustrations. I can also just use the brush tool and set the brush to be on the default black, set it to be pressure sensitive, set it to be 100% hard edged, right? And then use my tablet and just draw it. So if you want it to look hand drawn, sometimes hand drawing it is the best way. Now this is a little shaky, and that's because I didn't put on the smooth at all. So if I try that again with smooth at my preferred around 30%, it's going to even out the wobbliness in my hand. But sometimes I go off as well. So here's a trickier thing. I want these letters to be outlined, not filled, right? So how can I achieve that in the same technique that I did these? So I'm going to take the F and I'm going to duplicate it. This is the typeface F. And I'm going to move it down to where the I is. And I'm going to replace that by double clicking it as a type tool with an I, right? And I like that. It doesn't have the serifs on it, so I might add those on. But I like kind of the energy of the movement of it. So let me free transform it. Let me stretch it. And now this is the beauty of it being a type tool. I can select it and then go to the typefaces, and instead of this luckiest guy typeface, I can try something else. And it will show me how it looks. And I want to find one that has some serifs to it, because this is the one instance where I want some decoration on my eye, like there. Right? So that's one I could use. As some of you are noticing, there's a lot of really weird ones. There's like dripping ones. There are wingding ones, which is what you call it when there's actually pictures instead of letter forms that are just keyed to the strokes. They're like just collections of different vectors. But instead of going too far through all of them, there was one that worked. I just mentioned it. Now I got to find it. And graphic designers just collect a ton of these. Of these typefaces. Oh my gosh. There it is. No, that's not it. Where was it? I thought it was an M. There it is. Mole. All right. So I picked that. Come on. There we go. And now I'm going to modify that instead. But it keeps all of my modifications already from when I did the F. So I can transform it, shrink it, distort it, skew it, all to suit my needs. Now, what if I want to customize it further? Well, this is what I do, and I'll do it on a copy just so you see. I duplicate the letter, then I right-click it, and I rasterize it. That just turns it into pixels, and then that allows me to do things like warp it. So I can drop that corner a little bit. Right? This is also modifying from existing typefaces. It's just a shame that you have to take it out of being the vector format. But we're going to re-vectorize all of these anyway. Okay, now here's the trickier thing. How do I turn this, and this is a really advanced technique, which is really helpful. How do I turn this into an outline? Because there are very few typefaces that are outline based. That means that give you not a full black shape, but give you an outline shape. Well, this is the beauty of layer styles, right? I'm going to do it with a copy of it. I am going to double click, and I am going to go to stroke, and I am going to make a white stroke, right? Then I'm going to put it on the inside of my letter form and make an outline as thick as I want, like that. Okay? But it's in white on black. Now I'm going to rasterize that layer style, and then I am going to invert it. So I go to Image, Adjustments, Invert, and what was white will be black, and what was black will be white. Then I use my magic wand, and I select the white, and I delete it. And voila, I have an outlined text version of this type design. Make sense? And because it's rasterized, now when I warp it or skew it, that outline will change with me and actually give a different character top to bottom, which is a lot of fun. So now I need to do that with the D, and I'm just trying to match the style that I already did lettering for. And instead of trying to hand letter it, let's try this new technique. So I'm going to take the, let's see which letter is close. Let's do the U. Going to duplicate it, move it down here. Going to turn it into a D with the type tool. Going to do free transform, stretch it up. Let's see, do I like that uplifted D, or do I want it to be reversed, flipped vertically? Choices, choices. Maybe I'll try that and then skew it this way. Yeah, I think that works. And now how do I turn it into an outline? And this is going to get close to what we do a lot next class in adding color to our type design. How do I make it an outline? I duplicate it. I rasterize the duplicate. And then I double click it. I'll do this on just like I did with the I. I'll duplicate it again just to preserve my filled in black. Now I double click it, turn on layer styles. I turn on my stroke. I set the stroke to be white. Inside, at the thickness I want, this is a narrower outline. Remember, the outline is going to be the white. Then I rasterize that layer style. Then I invert it, image, adjustment, invert. And you might never need to do this. It's just interesting how you can think through these problems to get the pixels you want. And then because it's rasterized, I simply select the white and delete it. And I have my outline D that I never had to draw. I just got from the modified typeface. Now, I'm going to modify it a little bit more because I don't like how pointed it is. And so I can just do that with my regular lasso. And I'm just going to round out some of those corners. So it looks more hand done. Just trim those off. And then with my brush, pressure sensitive with stability on, I can add in a little bit. Oh, not that much. There we go. I could do this with the lasso and fill as well, but just to show you, hand lettering can be a mix of found typefaces and your own hand lettering. And then I love this about undercuts inside of letters, like the hole inside the D or an A or an E. I can then select this individually and arrange this to where I want it. And even transform it and stretch it on its own. And that can be very effective. All right, now I've gotten to where I wanted to get today in my type design. But let's refine it even more. The whole point is to make this seem really impactful and kind of angry. This is my pessimistic one, right? So I'm going to take my background gray and I'm going to shrink it a little bit smaller, so that the top boundaries of my kind of shouting, my not my fault, break the border. Because I think that looks pretty good. That's more engaging. And then I might take everything else, all the smart layers, all the spot illustrations, everything else, make sure everything's unlocked. Select it, everything that's on top of that background. And I might grow that a little bit. Oh, come on. Do it for me. There we go. So not my fault. I voted. Then I'm just going to adjust my background a little bit on the top and bottom. And maybe I can even get away with, well, let's see. Yes, let's try this. Maybe I can get away with growing all my lettering at the top. Nope. So I don't want the D and the I. I'll move all of those down. All right, here we go.